Alrighty, here we are. No one's in here yet, so it's just us.
Just us hanging out at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Thought we'd do a stream because we're those YouTubers, and by the we I mean you.
I don't know. Thought it'd be fun. We were gonna do it in our hotel room, but then some Russian teenager started blasting EDM music. So
Are we really dark and shady?
yes, we are.
Cool.
There we go. It gets better.
Oh,
It's the automatic thing because the sun is like right behind my head.
I need to lean better. I'm like leaning on my.
What is this? Well, this is just me being bored, so I started to do a little stream. Probably won't be for very long because I'm on battery power on my cell phone, but you know.
And I imagine you can't hear very well because wind and waves and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But you know, got some time to kill, so.
I'm going to dinner in a little bit.
Okay.
What?
I don't know. This is our whole schedule. Here's our whole day.
No, I didn't give them. I just said we're going to dinner in a little bit.
I know.
We have some time to kill before dinner.
So this place kind of rules. That's true. Your image is taken up with the chat, so it looks like the chat's happening on your face.
The chat is on my face. It's fine. It's fine.
What are the stereotypes of Canadians in each province and territory? Are they true? Oh
Whoa.
boy. All right.
I had to learn a lot of this when I moved to Canada because I had no frame of reference for it. So people just tried to relate different parts of Canada to different states.
Not always, but
Well, that's what they did for me.
all right. Let's see. Let's go west to east. So British Columbia definitely has a similar reputation to like Oregon and Washington, where it's like hippies who smoke weed and haven't seen the sun in 17 years. But also in the interior, a bunch of lumberjacks. So there's like the lumberjack angle as well. So that's BC. Alberta,
Texas.
Texas of Canada, oil, climate change denial, we're super racist.
They have a stampede every year.
Yeah,
Super racist.
yeah,
It's
I
not
mean,
fair.
I don't know. Let's see. Are you on holiday somewhere? Looks Mediterranean. Yes, we are in the Yucatan Peninsula right now.
Less Mediterranean, more Caribbean. But
There's the other. What was the other one? Oh yeah. So Saskatchewan is known for being kind of boring, like wheat farmers.
everybody says that if you drive down the road in Saskatchewan and you fall asleep, and you'll run out of gas and you won't hit anything. I ruined that joke, but still.
It's true. Manitoba. No one thinks about Manitoba. Ontario. Convinced they're the center of the world.
Everyone else kind of hates them because of that.
Yeah. Quebec. Also convinced they're the center of the world.
Quebec's its own thing.
Yeah. Nova Scotia and New Brunswick kind of have that like old fisherman's salt.
I think Maine, kind of? Or like Maryland with the crabbing and I don't know.
Yeah, and PI's all got green with potatoes and Anna Green Gables and all that kind of stuff. And then Newfoundland and Labrador is like, I don't know.
Also seafaring.
There's a whole like world of stereotypes about Newfoundland that are not nice and not accurate. I'll be honest. Yeah, I think that's all the things. Oh, the territories. We don't really think much about the territories. Are you from Ontario? I'm from Ontario. We both live in Ontario, but she's from
Indiana.
America. Quebec thinks it should have the status Ontario has. Oh, there's Newfoundlander in the chat. Yep. Very remote. Newfoundland very much has its own cultures. Hoosiers roll up. From Liz Rathburn.
Hoosiers.
Oh boy. This is nice. Look at that. Look at that background.
I know.
There's like
Got
a
a palm
tree
tree.
over there.
It's pretty good
Yeah.
for an impromptu stream.
Yeah, we're at a beach that is completely devoid of life because, well, not completely, I guess.
There's a bird over there, so not devoid of life.
There's not a ton of people. We are currently in the city of, what's it called? Playa del Carmen in Mexico's Quintana Roo state. Thoughts on the Mayan religion? Pretty cool. Oh, here's the first all caps question. Birds are government surveillance drones. Earlier today, I was listening to a sci-fi story where someone from Ontario told an alien. Oh no, I lost it. How do I get it? Okay, there we go. Told an alien Ontario is one of the most LGBTQ tolerant places on Earth. Is that true? I mean, it might be, but also the bar is pretty damn low.
I was impressed when I moved there from the States in 2011. People just much more commonly call someone their partner, regardless of gender, as sort of a, like, it's much more normalized, I think, for relationships of various gender pairings, I think.
Yep. Oh, Terry wants to know if we've been to any pre-Columbian sites. Not this trip. Is this all about Canada, really? Well, I don't know. So I have been to pre-Columbian sites. I've been to several, but not on this trip. This trip is very much about doing very little, because we both had a very stressful time in the works department. But I have been to Koba, which is a pyramid that's maybe about 90 minutes from here. I haven't been to Chichen Itza, which is really close. We should go, but oh well. And I've been to Teotihuacan, which is in central Mexico, nowhere close to where we are now. How bad is your sunburn so far? It's there.
Surprisingly, I'm actually doing okay because I lathered on the sunscreen. Tristan didn't think he needed sunscreen, and so he's a little burnt.
This is my first sunburn since 2011. So, and I've been to the tropics a few times. Greetings from the cold north. Nice. We'll be back there next week. Yeah, this time next week I'm going to be like getting my life back together that I've like let go fallow this week. Yes, it's very nice here. It's currently like what, 29 degrees, something like that. It's perfect. I love it. It's like 30 degrees every single day. I'll take it.
It's better than the 4 degrees that we left from Toronto.
I'm sure this is comedy poison. How is your first sunburn since 2011? I got sunburn already, and it's just got nice here in Missouri. I don't know. I've got a little bit of a, like, I don't know, just lightly toasted skin tone, and when I go out in the sun, I don't do it for long periods of time, or just enough time to get a tan, but not enough to get burned. The alien was a humanoid in a world where everyone was bi. I was like, even in Canada, you're going to be disappointed. That is true. Did you bring the cats? No, we did not bring the cats.
Although I feel like they might enjoy themselves. It's like a whole litter box.
Giant litter box that's called the beach. And also there's tons of these like little raccoon creatures, so that's fun.
Did you tweet a picture of them?
Yep.
Coati?
Yeah, coatis. Coatis. That's they're like these like raccoon things. Was Obama a reptile? He still is a reptile. Any food you enjoyed on the trip so far? There's a taqueria that Kelly's enjoying.
Lots of good food.
Someone asked, ¿Cómo estás?
Estamos muy bien.
Yeah, our Spanish hasn't improved yet. Where are you? I am in Playa del Carmen in wonderful United States of Mexico. The state of Quintana Roo, to be more specific. I am facing the ocean. If I just point that way is Cuba. I think if I point down the beach a little bit, Belize is like 3 hours that way. Did the U.S. ever try to take over this region? I don't think so. For some reason, I don't think that. Honestly, like people haven't really started moving into this area in a big way until like the 1970s. What do you think of AMLO now that he's in office? I haven't seen too much about what he's been up to, but I liked his campaign. Who is Kelly? This is my wife.
Yo, why?
Become a skeptic and make anti-vaxxing content? What? Ever studied Mayan hieroglyphs? I have not studied. Do you plan to do a step back on the Zapatistas? Jeez, I get asked that a lot. Yeah, I guess the Golden Circle. That was an attempt to. That was an idea to think about taking this region, where they were going to make a golden circle of slavery that would go all around the Gulf of Mexico. So I guess that, technically. Which country are you currently in? Mexico. We're going to say that a bit, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is Mexico. It's great. It's tropical. The sun is setting. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to... Buenos dias, comandante. It's like, good day, comrade. Are you at a resort or in real Mexico? We are definitely in fake Mexico.
Yeah.
Definitely not in real Mexico. That's a different trip. I've done that trip, but
I've done that trip too.
that is not this trip. This
No.
is the most fakest of Mexican experiences ever. But that's okay.
Still good.
We're in Mex Vegas.
Yeah.
Have you had any good or interesting food on the trip? Well, we've only been here a day.
See, going back to that fake Mexico thing, like, you don't have, like, the really awesome Mexican food because it's resort food, so it's, like, it's fine. It's good, but it's not, like, really authentic, delicious.
Yeah. It's made to make, like, American tourists happy. So, ever heard of Chelha? Yeah, there's, like, a million ads for it here. Have you ever seen the mockumentary CSA about the history of the CSA after winning the U.S. Civil War? Yes, it's good. I don't think its alternate history is all that solid, but I think it's about how... It's really about how much of American identity is still steeped in the legacy of slavery and racism. Like, that's what the documentary is actually about. Because it shows things that have a tie to slavery and, like, all that kind of stuff and how it's still around. Well, with the CSA people, well, hey, it's Night Watcher. Hello. Is it great over there? It is. It's actually, like, the sun's just going down now. It's warm, but not too warm. We're on the beach. There's a nice breeze coming off the ocean. And, yeah, it's not too busy because everyone's gone home to rest up for supper, so. Does anyone feel weird when you go to the tourism part of a country instead of the legit part of a country? Yeah. Yeah, there's a distinct feeling that, I mean, yeah.
There's a lot of mixed feelings, I feel like, that come with these trips. It's even weirder when we go on those excursions and they always take you through, like, a poor neighborhood and, you know, introduce you to the local children. And you're like, well, this is good because I want to, I want to see what's out there, but also it feels real exploitative and awkward and voyeuristic.
I'm just going to turn the camera around 1 second because there's one of those coatis. I don't know if you can see them running around. All right.
Show them the ocean while they're...
Okay, I'll show the ocean while you're there, and then somebody had a question actually for you. So that's the other side of us right now. Yeah.
For me?
Yeah, they wanted to know what you thought about Trump's immigration policy.
I mean, I don't think very much of anything that Trump's doing. It's all pretty shitty. Yeah. That's really all I've got to say.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I'm trying to see where that coati went.
I saw him go that way, but...
So those coatis are, like, all over this place. They're like a swarm. Are communists allowed to stay in bourgeois institutions like hotels or resorts?
I was waiting for that question.
Yes, I guess.
This goes back to that uncomfortableness that I was talking about. I said earlier that I feel like these all-inclusive resorts are like playing at being, the wealthy 1%, because there's all these trappings of wealth. So it's like role playing being wealthy. It feels weird.
Did you rent the whole resort? Why is there nobody else? Mostly because it's like 6 p.m. and sun's going down, and so the pool is closed, and like people are kind of transitioning from their hanging out on the beach mode to their like getting dressed up and going out for supper mode. So that's basically why there's nobody here. We intentionally looked for a place that was quiet so that if I went on a 25-minute rant about capitalism, it wouldn't get me like thrown out of the resort or something.
We were gonna do it on our balcony, but there was a person next door playing loud music.
A Russian teenager blasting EDM music.
So we had to go find the beach.
Can you come to Liverpool? I'd go to Liverpool. It's
Yeah.
far away though. That's over $1,000 ticket there.
I'd love to go to Liverpool, though.
Yeah. Sunflower socialist equals canceled. Oh well. All right. I do like Liverpool. Oh, I don't know. Theoretically, I definitely want to go back to the UK. I went there once in 2007 and spent like a week there, but definitely should go back. Head to Hippieville, USA. Eugene. I don't know.
Eugene's in Oregon.
Oh, Eugene, Oregon? Okay.
Yeah, we can go there for sure.
Has there ever been a communist leader in Mexico? I think there have been rather like Mexico had at some point implemented some pretty leftist stuff. Like I know that there's Pemex, which is like the one goal of it's like the one gas station company in Mexico that's run by the government. And like you don't get those with liberal leaders. Why didn't you go to Cuba? Because my family has a timeshare and they do not have a Cuban thing. Otherwise I would go.
More importantly, I don't think I'm allowed to go there.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that the jury is out. I think I'm allowed to go there, but not to spend any tourist money. So
somebody said, Tristan Kelly, don't feel guilty for experiencing the goal of communism, that there are enough resources for the world, people to experience comfort and happiness.
Aww.
There you go.
Thank you. That's nice.
Also, though, we can only, trust me, this is way outside of our price range. We're only here because
of Tristan's boomer parents.
Yes, because of boomer parents. The cats say hello. Well, thank you, Melinda. Much appreciated.
Aww.
Has there been a fascist or communist party in the USA? Well, yes. CPUSA has been around for a very, very long time. Fascist party, there's one called the Republican Party right now, but I imagine that's not what you're going for. And there is still the American Nazi Party is an official Nazi party in Canada or in America. Devs wasn't a communist. Wait, all right. I got tagged. I answered the question about Cuba, so I'm good. I don't have what's it called? I don't have a text file to save all the questions to, so things are going to have to slide. Wait, we have an official FASH party? Yes, there is the American Nazi Party. They are a real American organization. Work closely with the Ku Klux Klan, as you can imagine. Your thoughts on Cuba? My thoughts on Cuba are very similar to my thoughts on Venezuela, which is just while I don't necessarily think that what their leaders are doing is super perfect, the shit that the international community is putting them through is completely unfair, and the fact that they're basically doing a stop hitting yourself argument to try and show why socialism doesn't work is really shitty. And I've actually been quite impressed by how the Cuban people have been able to keep everything functioning as it does with absolutely no resources. You thought Kuwati only lived in South America? No, there's one here.
There's more than one.
But in a resort, there's service staff. That's not communist. Okay. I guess I should just cancel my trip and go home then. I have ideological opposition to getting away from work for a week. God. Tristan, do you like avocados? Yeah, they're great. I love avocados.
Is the U.S. still going to have a shortage of avocados? Is that still a problem?
It's not a shortage. It's that it's
the border, right?
If they shut down Mexican imports, then California will run out of avocados in like 3 days.
We're still going to get them there, right?
Yeah, we're not shutting down the border.
Awesome.
I love avocados though. I mean, I'm not like bananas about them like some people are, but I think they're good.
I love avocados. I think they're great.
They're good. I feel like somebody's having a meltdown that we're here.
Who? What?
This one, I don't know. The potential avocado shortage? I haven't seen that. Apparently Colbert did a bit on the avocado shortage. Do you hate fascism and communism? I don't hate communism. I love communism. I don't like state capitalism, which is what a lot of countries call communism, like with the Soviet Union and such. Communism has never, I don't know, like it, well, I don't know if it has, like the idea of a stateless society that, a stateless, moneyless society that has these dedication, or has an economy fully based on from each according to their needs, to each according to their, or from each according to their ability, to each according to their needs, is, you know, where are the hordes yearning to breathe free? Communism does say trans rights. Communism is also an anarchist idea, and so therefore has only been done on a few occasions. Are you on the Gulf of the Pacific Ocean? We are actually in this kind of interesting place where the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea like meet each other. Hello, Comrade Jeb. He says Hello. We have to make sure we don't miss our thing. So you're keeping
It's only
your eye on the time?
6:30.
Okay.
We're good.
We have an hour. Although, staying for a full hour, who knows? Your thoughts on Che Guevara? I actually don't know too much about Che Guevara. I imagine that he would not approve of his face being on a bunch of t-shirts these days. But I was thinking of making a video once that was going to be like, Che Guevara, the face behind the t-shirt. And then I looked on YouTube and I found like 17 videos with that exact title. So I feel like Che has been taken care of in the YouTube history department. I can see my face is a little bit red.
Yep.
Do you have an opinion on why so many people fail to distinguish between positive and normative claims, i.e. descriptive versus prescriptive? Ooh, that is... All right. I've heard that in linguistics. What's the thing? I'm glad you're... Oh, the thing is dinner. Okay, so prescriptive versus descriptive. I've only ever heard that used in the terms of language. I am definitely for descriptive stuff. But you could also say that, like, you know, harm reduction is like an example of a descriptive law, where it's not trying to forge the world as they want it to be, but sort of forging the world as it is and making the best of it. Which ideology is the most extreme left you can possibly be on the very left of the political spectrum? An anarchist. How do you feel about comparisons between Christianity and communism? I welcome them. I love that interpretation of Christianity. I wish more Christians interpreted Christianity that way. I love the ideas of like liberation theology and these sort of very socialist ideas baked within Christian writing that could definitely make for... I definitely think that there are many Christians who would come to a cause if that was a thing. Sunflower sweet? Night Watcher, you say sunflower a lot. Am I missing a thing? Don't put up on the first day. Used to see the real white folks only on the first day when they arrived in Waikiki. They had to stay inside the rest of their vacations hurting a lot. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Have you played Tropico? It's a city building game where you not only have to take care of your people, but also handle foreign policy. That'd be kind of cool.
That's
Oh,
cool.
Sunflower Socialist. Okay. Are there people near you? Closest people are about 30 feet from us right now. Stalin was an Orthodox Christian. Okay. Thought he was an atheist, but okay. Where are you? I am in Playa del Carmen in beautiful Mexico. Have you tried Total War Warhammer? No, I have not. What's it called? Warhammer was a game I liked. I'm just adjusting because my leg is starting to fall asleep.
Okay.
Total War was the series that I really, really liked before I discovered Paradox games. And when I played Total War games, I was always just, what's it called? Auto, because like it has a, so like the way it works is like it's like a Paradox game, except when a battle happens, you play out the battle.
Oh, okay.
And the way that I was always doing it is that they have this button to like auto resolve the battle, and I would just do that for all battles. And so I just switched to that, and I realized that that's basically what a Paradox game is, but better, but worse. So I just played. Have you played Victoria 2? Yes, I have. I did one amazing playthrough as Quebec that I'm very proud of. Have you seen any Irish pub? That's how you know you're in a tourist area. Nope. This is very much more of like a pina colada type place. But yeah, the Total War game. So like when they made a Warhammer Total War game, I was like, eh. And also it was really expensive. Did you play Empire Total War? No. The last Total War game I ever played was Medieval 2, I want to say. Oh, there's another Kawati. Let's see if we can get it closer. One sec.
Aw. It's so cute.
There you go. Kawati Watch 2019 is in full activation. We'll update you with more Kawatis as they become available. Someone called it a beach cat.
Yeah. That's why I think the cats would really like this place.
What does Kelly think of video games?
You know, I didn't play a lot of video games growing up. We had a Super Nintendo and we had an N64, and I did play those a fair bit, but I was definitely never I didn't really game. But when I started dating Tristan, he got me into Paradox games. I played lots of hours of CK2. And then I've played a lot of hours of Breath of the Wild. We have a Switch now, so a lot of Breath of the Wild. I'm playing Skyrim right now and have been for several months. And then on PC, I like those walking simulator kind of games, and the mysteries and unraveling the narrative and stuff. So I like games. I'm not a huge games person, but I do. I like them.
All right, first question here is, what is that sound in the background? Those are called grackles. They're these little black birds that make noise. They're very loud. And also, everyone be really cool, because my mom just entered the chat.
Oh, no.
So...
Hey, Don.
What's your beachside read? At the moment, all right, I am between 3 books for my beach read, all of which are ridiculous in many different ways. Number 1, oh, my dad's watching too.
Hey, guys.
Number 1 is a book that one of my office mates lent me. That's The Time Traveler's Wife, which I've been told is like sort of like a The Notebook type read. So it's like a total romance book. So
Which
like
is not really Tristan's thing.
not really my reading thing. 2 is this book that is basically a 256-page guide and manual for Dwarf Fortress. And the third is it's a book called Tome of Beasts, which is a third-party monster manual for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So like those are the 3 books I'm like going between at my current current stream.
And before we got here, I was reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, but that's not really a very leisurely beach read. So I've switched it out for a mystery called the High Tide Club.
So that's my beach read. Reading about how to properly grow chickens in your ASCII under your absolutely abysmal looking game Dwarf Fortress. Because Thought Slime is very insistent that I will love Dwarf Fortress, so I have been just thinking about it. All right. Do you know French? Wait, I know a little bit of French. I've been talking French to some Quebecois people here that I was talking with. Do you know much about Mexican history? Do you think you'll ever cover the Mexican Revolution? That could be fun. Oh gosh. When are parents getting their own YouTube channel? Oh jeez. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay. Learn emojis. Us old people love emojis. You're growing chickens in your butt. What languages do you know? I know English. Pretty good at that one. My second best language, I would say, is French, which I have. I'm conversational in. I really can't read or write, but I can speak it okay. And Spanish, I know.
He knows how to order drinks.
I know how to order drinks. I know some basics. I know some basic sentences, but I'm not super good.
I took a lot of years of Spanish in school, and so if I'm here long enough, I can sort of bring it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. How are we doing?
How are we doing on what?
They made a form of Dwarf Fortress for Steam. It's finally got graphics. Yes, I know. It's not here yet. I'm getting ready for it by learning how the weird thing works. Are mosquitoes an endangered species down there? Or are they eating you alive? We are definitely mosquito free at the moment because I know I attract mosquitoes from like a mile around. So, someone also asked if I'm excited for Imperator Rome. I would say I am more okay. I'm not as excited as when Stellaris was coming out. I will say that. I haven't been following too much about its progress, so I'll probably find out more about it when it actually goes out. Probably a little bit more excited than when Hearts of Iron 4 came out, because Hearts of Iron 4, I was not at all interested in it coming out at all. And so, I mean, Stellaris is the best Paradox game, and I will die on that hill.
I love CK2 though.
CK2 is pretty good, but I honestly didn't even know about Paradox games when CK2 came out. It was the year CK2 came out is when I got into Paradox games, so 2012, but the game had already been out when I found out about it. Are you excited for the new season of Game of Thrones? Yes. Yes, I will.
Mm-hmm. When does that come out?
Any interest in Iron Harvest? I've never heard of Iron Harvest. Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Tonight.
Oh, really?
I think. It's either tonight or next week, next Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I am excited to see Game of Thrones end. I'd love to see how they wrap up all of the loose ends that they put out. It's next Sunday, okay. Game of Thrones, I think, has had... I have some things to say about it. Game of Thrones, I think, is... One, it's a good show. But it has had a problematic history. And I think everyone can say that. It kind of defined the whole using sexual assault as a way to show how edgy they are way too many times for my comfort. And on top of that, yeah, it's just I think that it's had some doozies. It's by no means a perfect show. It's still a pretty good show, and I'm glad that I think that I'm pretty excited for it to end. Just because I think that it'll be really good. And then, has anybody talked about, anyone talked about, okay, if you remember DB Weiss and the other guy who runs Game of Thrones, they were going to do an alternate history show that was going to be called Confederate, and everybody was mad at it, and I can't remember what happened with that. Did they just silently kill the show? And then on top of that, wasn't Amazon going to be making one too, and then called Black America or something like that, and that never came out? Or I never heard anything more about that. So what happened out of that whole exchange? Because I want to see Black America.
I don't know.
Somebody said Game of Thrones is The Walking Dead with swords. I would probably say that.
It hasn't tanked as hard as Walking Dead did halfway through.
Game of Thrones is a little less aggressively stupid.
We really liked The Walking Dead, and then a couple of seasons in, we were like, what are you doing?
I think that The Walking Dead has really bad writers who, as every time they deviate from the comic books, they suck. Because it's obvious that, like, if you read The Walking Dead, it's written by a rather left-wing guy who thinks that humanity is basically good, and that people basically coordinate, and that the zombies are the bad guys. The people who write The Walking Dead are very obviously really, really conservative, and they have a general distaste for humanity as a whole. They try to make this show based on a comic book that's about how humans can overcome even the worst experiences that humanity could go through, and then turn into a show about how all humans are evil, and how but also on top of that, every time they write themselves into a corner, it seems like the characters take stupid pills and try to make a mess.
It's also annoying because they'll get themselves into a situation and everything is safe, and then they'll do something super dumb that, like, puts them super at risk, and it's just hard to watch.
Sunflower Socialist, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat.
Oh.
He says, have a beer on me. I googled the cost of a beer in Mexico, and this should be enough for 2 beers.
Oh,
thank you very
really
much.
nice.
You're very kind. It's going to start getting dark here in a second.
We're still looking good.
Yeah.
Still looking good on screen.
In Fatherland, it's just assumed that the U.S. wouldn't open friendly diplomatic relations with Germany if they knew about the Holocaust. Do you think that would actually make any difference? It would for a bit, but I imagine that if, like, the Fatherland situation happened and the Holocaust was discovered, I imagine that the Americans would stop trade for maybe, like, 15 years and then open it up again. Like, the next time the Republicans get in power or something. Do people act...
Hola.
Do people actually think that Confederate alternate history would be pro-Confederacy? That's a dumb assumption for people to make. I honestly, Sirloin, when it comes to, like, the show Confederate, the issue about it was, like, it opened a really interesting conversation about alternate history in general, where it's like, why do we have so many alternate history scenarios where basically it results in the most horrible right-wing things, like the most horrible right-wing fantasies being true? I think I've said before that even if the Confederates did win the Civil War, I don't think they would be practicing slavery by the 21st century. But
it's true. Where's your anarchist utopia alternate history?
Some people would say that that's Kaiserreich, which is like a mod for Hearts of Iron 4.
Okay.
But in my mind, I would probably say that the best, like, I think that the Amazon show sounds way better because it's written by a bunch of people who worked on, like, the Boondocks. And that it was going to be about a civil war that ended in a similar way, but that the whole 40 acres and a mule thing actually was delivered upon, and all of the freed slaves were given their own state in the South.
Oh, wow.
And they became an independent country. And it would take place in there. And I thought that would be an amazing show. And that is a way more interesting way to talk about an alternate history of the Civil War than, like, another show where the Confederates win the Civil War.
Yeah.
But I also haven't heard anything from either show in, like, over 2 years, so I imagine it's dead. It's just like, why is it that the things we go to for alternate history are the Nazis winning World War II and the Confederates winning the Civil War? I guess it's because they're just big dramatic things, but honestly, like,
It's probably the thing people can think that would change the world the most based on their knowledge and experience.
yeah. Let's see if there's anybody here. We miss any questions? You're on the beach. Yes, we are. All right. Whoops. What if Tommy Douglas became prime minister? That would be sweet. I would love the United Soviet Socialist States of Canada. Where are you? I am in beautiful Playa del Carmen, Mexico, in the state of Quintana Roo. I think those alternate histories and dystopian sci-fi in general exist to make us feel good about living in a slightly less shitty timeline. There's something to that.
Yeah.
How about Soviets winning the Polish-Soviet War? That would be a good one. Wait, what?
Yeah, I guess alternate history where things are better would kind of just make us feel crappy.
It would be less dramatic, but I feel like
Yeah.
you could do it in like a Star Trek sense.
That's true. Star Trek's got sort of that alternate future.
Interesting.
What?
Star Trek takes place in a time where, in the 2030s, there is a global nuclear war that basically destroys most of the states on Earth. And in the sort of anarchic, post-apocalyptic world, an alcoholic physicist invents a way to make ships partially go into another dimension, so that with a thruster they can go faster than light. Then he does it by he refurbishes a nuclear missile to turn into the rocket, and he does it, and he goes on it, and then he comes back, and the Vulcans saw him, and the Vulcans make first contact, and that is the story of First Contact, 1998. There's some stuff with the Borg, but I'm gonna skip that because she might see that someday.
So do we have then 11 years until total nuclear war?
Yeah, and also on top of that, if I remember, in the mid-90s in the Star Trek world, there was also the eugenics wars, which was about like super clones going to war against the rest of humanity. So Star Trek's alternate history is also a little strange.
Except it wasn't alternate history, right?
Well,
It was alternate future at that point?
yeah, I mean, when the 1996 eugenics wars was written, it was what's it called? It was like
The 60s?
the 60s or the 70s or something like that.
Yeah.
I imagine if my dad is watching, he would know when that was first said, because it was either in the Botany Bay episode of the original Star Trek, or it was in The Wrath of Khan, one of those two. Do you support Prime Minister Nikki Ashton, President AMLO, and President Bernie Sanders forming the Socialist Commonwealth of North America? Fuck yeah. That'd be awesome. Do you hate Nazis? Minecrafter Alex, why do you even have to ask? Everyone should hate Nazis. They're by definition evil. I know, controversial take. I keep inserting politics into everything by saying that Nazis are bad. There was somebody who found this like adventure comic from like the 1950s, and someone's like, "Oh, someone's inserting politics into my gritty World War II shooter," and it was just like, this World War II comic that was called Hunting Nazis. And it was like, how do you feel about tankies? Definitely am not a fan of anybody who wants to use brutal military force to crush dissent and force people to do horrible things. Even if it's for the best of intentions, sending people to freeze in Siberia for disapproving of the megalomaniacal Forever premiere, not good. Not good. What are tankies? Tankies are people who today legitimately practice, who legitimately say things like that, like Stalin was a good person and that the things that he did were not wrong, even though he's like directly responsible for the deaths of 13 million people. People who are like basically like apologists for the Soviet Union, usually apologists for like extremely authoritarian forms of socialism. Should I make a neo-progressive party and run for president and split the veto so we get a second Wilson? Oh my. In the evil timeline, the science man shoots the Vulcans and they all become space fascists with facial hair. That is also true. That's in that's the mirror universe in Star Trek.
Oh, right, yep.
My favorite science fiction novel series, The Culture, is about a utopian... Oh no! Scroll up! Oh, he deleted it. Okay. My favorite SF novel series is The Culture, and it's an anarchist society that spans the entire galaxy. The first time I read it, it made me depressed about the real world. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to read those. That's Ian Banks, right? Definitely should read some Ian Banks. I also should be reading some Kim Stanley Robinson. I've been told that for somebody who has as much respect for Islam as I do, and also somebody who loves like leftist science fiction, that I should be reading the shit out of Red Mars.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's it called? Kim Stanley Robinson is a famous science fiction author who recently went on a Street Fight Radio, which is like an openly revolutionary anarchist podcast.
Oh, okay.
Do you know anything about Mexican politics? Do you think that the Mexican people will choose another AMLO? Well, they might. The thing about Mexican politics is that they have extremely short term limits, so all presidents can only serve for one term. So AMLO's got, 4 years, and then... so he's got to build a party, but I don't know that much. I honestly am not an expert on Mexico, and I think I'm going to wrap up. It's starting to get dark, and my back is starting to hurt, and my finger's starting to hurt from holding this phone for 45 minutes.
All right.
Oh yes, to answer Night Watch's thing real quick. Red, Green, Blue, Mars. Yeah, Kim Stanley Robinson also wrote this book about New York that takes place in the 24th century, where climate change has risen the sea levels to a point where New York has become sort of like Venice. And and the way that he wrote about it is it's called it's written as post-apocalyptic, where the climate change apocalypse happens, and then he kept saying, like, if you had an apocalypse like that, like, it would only last for a while, and then all of a sudden it's just people's lives, and then people get back on track. And so he just talks about it's a novel that takes place in New York. It takes place in this New York that has just, they've like, climate change has happened, things are harder, but they're making do. Oh, it's the 22nd century, sorry. Is that the podcast the chick from the Minority Report hosts? Don't super approve of calling women chicks, but I don't remember. I think it was called Street Fight Radio. They posted it on the Chapo Trap House Grey Wolf feed. That's how I heard it. Did you know that Mexico City is sinking because it was built on a lake bed? Yes, it was. It used to be Tenochtitlan, the holy jewel of the Aztec Empire. All right, I'm going to wrap up now. You guys have been great.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Maybe we'll do another one of these before we leave.
Yeah.
Depends. Peace out, friends.